if they had their way, that they would pass a coronavirus aid package that forces us to lay people off, public health nurses, public school administrators, public sanitation workers, teachers, in the middle of a situation when the virus is much worse than it was 3 months ago, and the economy is much worse than it was 3 months ago. And so I reject the premise that this is some sort of democratic ask. Now, I could go through the list of the National Conference of Mayors, the National Governors Association, the National Conference of State Legislatures, all of the organizations that on a bipartisan basis represent governments. They all want state and county relief to come into this package. I could go through that. But I just reject the premise on a human level that we have to demand, as though it is some sort of progressive wish list. It's not a carbon tax, right? It's not criminal justice reform. It's not gay rights. This is allowing firefighters to stay employed. This is allowing our public hospitals not to lay off people in the middle of a pandemic. This is allowing our school systems not to lay off teachers. This isn't a democratic ask. This is an American ask. And I reject the premise that the leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, is going to treat this as something that is to be traded for. We don't trade for keeping our firefighters employed. We don't trade for keeping our nurses employed. We just do that because it's the right thing to do. And we especially do that in the middle of the worst public health crisis in a century and the worst economic situation we've had in almost a century. I reject the idea that Leader Schumer and Leader McConnell and Speaker Pelosi and Secretary Mnuchin have to cut a deal on state and local funding. Every single member of the United States Senate, as soon as this ends up in the bill, is going to take credit for it. They're going to take credit. Look, I got you money. But let the record reflect that the proposal from the Republican conference was states, counties, municipalities get zero, and that is not tenable.